The alien princess didn't understand my avoidance until I spoke the truth. Sci-Fi Story. The alien royal vessel moved through space like a floating city of light. Its smooth curves shone softly, colored in gold and deep blue, symbols of the Aurelian Empire's long history and power. Inside the ship, hundreds of alien nobles, guards, and scholars moved through wide halls filled with living crystal and glowing symbols. This ship was not only a place of travel, it was a court, a home, and a political heart. Among them walked a single human. Elias Ward moved carefully, his steps quiet, his posture straight but relaxed. He wore a simple dark uniform with a small earth insignia on his chest. Compared to the flowing robes and bright skin tones of the Aurelians, he looked plain and small. Yet many eyes followed him wherever he went. Humans were new to the galaxy, not weak, not strong, just unknown. Elias had been trained for years for this mission. He had studied alien cultures, languages, and customs until he could speak in his sleep. He knew this assignment was dangerous, not because of weapons, but because of misunderstanding. One wrong action could damage the first real alliance humanity had ever formed beyond its own stars. The Aurelians believed closeness was honesty. Humans did not. That difference alone could destroy everything. As Elias entered the main audience hall, the soft hum of conversation faded. Tall Aurelians turned their glowing eyes toward him. Their skin shimmered faintly, reacting to emotion. Curiosity rippled through the room like light across water. At the far end of the hall stood Princess Serixa. She was younger than most nobles, but her presence filled the space. Her skin glowed in shifting shades of silver and violet, a sign of sharp awareness. Thin lines of living crystal curved along her arms and neck, symbols of royal blood. When she noticed Elias, her glow brightened slightly. She smiled. Elias stopped at a respectful distance and bowed, placing one hand over his chest the human way. He did not step closer. He did not raise his eyes for too long. Princess Serixa noticed everything. "You stand far away, human Elias," she said, her voice smooth and musical. "Do you fear us?" Elias lifted his eyes briefly, careful not to stare. "No, your highness, I do not fear you." "Then why do you avoid us?" she asked, tilting her head. "Our people have welcomed you. We share space, words, and thoughts freely. Yet you remain distant." Murmurs spread through the hall. Several nobles leaned closer, their skin brightening with interest. Elias felt the familiar pressure in his chest. He had prepared answers for this. None of them felt good enough. "I show respect in my own way," he said calmly. "Human customs are different." Princess Serixa took a step forward. Elias did not step back, but every part of him wanted to. He forced himself to remain still. "To us," Serixa said, "distance is rejection. When one avoids touch, avoids closeness, avoids shared space, it suggests dishonesty or hidden danger." "I understand," Elias replied. "But I ask for patience." Her glow dimmed slightly. "Patience has limits." The meeting ended without further conflict, but the damage was done. As Elias left the hall, whispers followed him like shadows. "He hides his thoughts. He believes himself above us. Humans are cold creatures." Elias heard none of it directly, but he felt it. He had lived with that feeling his entire life, being watched, being judged, being misunderstood. Later, in his assigned quarters, Elias finally allowed himself to relax. The room was quiet, shaped for human comfort, with solid walls and soft lighting. He sat on the edge of the bed and exhaled slowly. This was harder than any battlefield. On Earth, Elias had survived war zones, political disasters, and crises that pushed nations to the edge. Those situations had rules. Threats could be measured. This was different. Here, kindness could be dangerous. A soft chime sounded at the door. Elias froze. "Yes," he said. The door opened and Princess Serixa entered alone. Elias stood immediately, keeping his hands visible. "Your Highness," he said, "I was not informed of a private meeting." "I informed myself," she replied. Her glow shifted, curious rather than angry. She looked around his room, noting the plain furniture, the lack of decoration. "You live like a soldier," she said. "I am one," Elias answered truthfully, "even as a diplomat." She moved closer slowly. Elias remained still, though his muscles tensed. "You pull away when others approach," she said softly. "You limit your time among us. You refuse our bonding rituals. Tell me why." Elias looked at the floor for a moment. He had promised Earth's council not to reveal too much too soon, but the situation was already unstable. "I am trying to prevent harm," he said. Syrinx's glow flickered. "From whom?" "From us," Elias said. "From you." Silence filled the room. "That makes no sense," she said finally. "It will," Elias replied. "In time." Her eyes narrowed slightly. "Do you believe yourself dangerous?" "Yes," he said without hesitation. The honesty surprised her. A lesser lie would have been easier. But humans had learned long ago that lies built weak foundations. Syrinx studied him carefully now, her curiosity deepening. "You are smaller than us," she said. "Your bodies are fragile. Your numbers are few compared to the empires beyond. Yet you speak as if you carry a great weight." Elias met her gaze briefly. "We do." She stepped closer again. This time Elias raised a hand, not threatening, just firm. "Please," he said quietly, "do not come closer." Her glow flashed bright with confusion and something close to offense. "You deny my presence," she said. "No," Elias replied. "I respect it." That answer made no sense to her. Syrinx took a step back, her light dimming to a thoughtful shade. "Then teach me," she said. "Because your distance is creating division. The council is losing trust." "I know," Elias said. "Soon they will decide you are a liability," she continued. "And when that happens, alliances break." Elias nodded. "I am aware." "Then why continue this path?" she demanded. Elias closed his eyes briefly. Images flashed in his mind, burning cities, lost comrades, decisions that saved millions but haunted him forever. "Because if I don't," he thought, "someone will get hurt." He opened his eyes. "Because humans bond deeply. And when we bond, we protect without limits." Syrinx watched him carefully, sensing the weight behind his words. "You speak as if closeness leads to destruction," she said. "Sometimes it does," Elias replied. She turned toward the door, stopping just before leaving. "You confuse me, human Elias," she said. "But confusion is not safety. Soon I will demand clarity." The door closed behind her. Elias remained standing long after she left. Outside the ship, far beyond Aurelian space, other eyes watched silently. Sensors tracked the human vessel docked within royal territory. Analysts studied patterns, noting the tension. Weak alliances were opportunities. Elias did not know it yet, but time was running out. The days that followed grew heavier with quiet tension. Elias Ward felt it in every hallway, every meeting, every pause in conversation when he entered a room. The Aurelians were polite, always polite, but their light no longer warmed when he approached. It flickered with doubt. The council chambers were vast and open, shaped like a rising spiral. Elias stood at his usual position, slightly apart from the others. He had requested the space. The council had allowed it, though not happily. Princess Syrinx stood near the center, listening as senior nobles spoke. "The human envoy disrupts harmony," one counselor said, his skin glowing a sharp blue. "He refuses closeness. He withholds himself. His presence creates imbalance," another added. "Our people feel insulted." Syrinx remained silent, but her glow shifted between uncertainty and thought. Elias kept his expression calm. Inside, his mind worked fast. Earth had warned him this could happen: cultural pressure, isolation, removal. He would accept removal if needed. He just hoped it would not come too late. After the session ended, Elias walked alone through a side corridor. The walls pulsed faintly with living light, responding to emotion. Around him, the glow dimmed. He heard light footsteps behind him. Princess Syrinx caught up, walking beside him without speaking at first. Elias slowed his pace slightly, careful not to invade her space. The council grows impatient, she said finally. I know, Elias replied. They think you judge us, she continued. That you see us as lesser. Elias shook his head. That is not true. Then why do you refuse what we freely offer, she asked. Trust, closeness, unity. Elias stopped walking. Sarixa stopped too, turning to face him. Because humans are not free with those things, he said. Not because we value them less, but because we value them too much. She studied him closely. You keep saying that, yet you do not explain. I cannot, Elias said. Not fully, not yet. Her glow sharpened. You expect patience without truth. Yes, he said simply. Sarixa exhaled slowly, a sign of controlled frustration. This path will end badly. Most important paths do, Elias replied. She left him there, walking away without another word. Later that cycle, an alert echoed through the ship. Not loud, controlled, serious. Elias was already moving before his communicator chimed. Diplomat Ward, a voice said. Engineering sector reports a containment failure. Non-hostile but unstable. I'm on my way, Elias replied. The engineering sector was not designed for humans, but Elias navigated it with practiced ease. Aurelian engineers clustered around a pulsing energy node, their light flashing in alarm. The node hummed loudly, sending vibrations through the floor. What happened? Elias asked. An engineer turned, surprised. Why are you here? This is not your duty. Problems don't care about duty, Elias said. Tell me what failed. The engineer hesitated, then spoke quickly. The gravity stabilizer reacted unpredictably to a quantum fluctuation. If it collapses, this section will decompress. How long? Elias asked. Minutes, another said. We cannot approach closely. The field reacts to emotional output. Elias nodded. Clear the area. They stared at him. You cannot. Clear it, he repeated, his voice firm but calm. Something in his tone cut through the hesitation. The engineers moved back. Elias stepped forward alone. He slowed his breathing, controlling his thoughts. Humans had learned this skill long ago. Fear made mistakes. Calm saved lives. The field pulsed violently as he approached, reacting to the presence of a sentient mind. Elias focused, reducing his emotional output as much as possible. He had practiced this in training, though never at this scale. Sweat formed on his brow. He reached the control interface and worked quickly, hands steady. A surge of energy burst outward, throwing him back. He hit the floor hard, air driven from his lungs. Alarms spiked. Engineers rushed forward, but Elias raised a hand weakly. Wait. He forced himself up, ignoring the pain. With one final adjustment, the field stabilized. The hum softened, the lights steadied. Silence followed, then cautious relief. The engineers stared at him, their skin glowing with awe. You should not have survived that, one said. Elias managed a small smile. Neither should this ship. Medical staff insisted on checking him. Word spread quickly through the vessel. The human had walked into danger alone. The human had fixed a problem others could not approach. Princess Sarixa arrived at the medical bay as Elias sat on a table, a scanner passing over his ribs. You acted without hesitation, she said. It was necessary, Elias replied. You could have died. Yes, he agreed. Her glow shifted, softer now. Why risk yourself for us? Elias met her eyes. Because that is what humans do. That answer stayed with her. Over the next cycles, attitudes began to change, quietly, slowly. Aurelians watched Elias more carefully now. They noticed how he positioned himself to give others space. How he listened more than he spoke. How he worked longer hours than required. Still, suspicion remained. Then came the report. Long-range sensors detected unknown vessels near the edge of Aurelian-controlled space. Their patterns were careful, observing. The council gathered in emergency session. These ships belong to the Keth Dominion, a strategist announced. They are not allies, murmurs filled the chamber. They are watching, another said. Waiting. Princess Sarixa turned to Elias. What do humans do when watched by predators? Elias did not answer immediately. "We prepare," he said. The council debated defenses, patrol routes, diplomatic signals. Elias offered input when asked, nothing more. He did not push. He did not command. The Keth ships moved closer. Tension rose. During a break in the session, Sarixa approached Elias again. "You seem calm," she said. "I am alert," Elias corrected. "Do you believe conflict is coming?" "Yes," he said. "And yet you do not urge us to strike first." "No," Elias replied. "That would confirm their expectations." She considered that. "You think they see us as weak." "I think they see division," Elias said. "They see uncertainty. That is always tempting." Sarix's glow dimmed slightly. "And you, what do they see in you?" Elias thought for a moment. "An unknown variable." "That can be dangerous," she said. "It can also be useful," he replied. That night Elias stood alone near an observation window. Stars stretched endlessly beyond the glass. Somewhere out there, hostile eyes watched. He activated a secure channel to Earth but stopped before sending a message. Not yet, he decided. If he spoke too soon, humanity would act. And once humanity acted, there was no pulling them back. Behind him, Princess Sarixa approached quietly. "You stand alone often," she said. "It helps me think," Elias replied. She stood beside him, not too close. For the first time, she respected the space without feeling rejected. "The council will decide soon," she said. "Whether to keep you here." Elias nodded. "I understand." "If they remove you," she asked, "what will you do?" "I will return home," Elias said, "and hope this alliance survives." She looked at him, truly looked at him, and for the first time felt uncertainty, not about his intentions but about the consequences of misunderstanding him. "You carry something heavy," she said quietly. "Yes," Elias replied. "What is it?" Elias closed his eyes for a brief moment, then opened them. "A promise," he said, "to never let fear decide who we protect." Far away, the Keth ships adjusted their course, drifting closer. The quiet before the storm deepened. The council chamber felt heavier than before, as if the air itself carried weight. Light from the living walls pulsed slowly, reflecting the tension of those gathered inside. Elias Ward stood in his usual place, hands relaxed at his sides, face calm. Inside, his thoughts were sharp and focused. Princess Sarixa stood at the center, her glow muted but steady. "The Keth Dominion has crossed into disputed space," a counselor announced. "They claim it is a navigation error." "No one believes that," another replied. "They are testing us." Murmurs filled the chamber. Fear, frustration, and pride mixed together, flashing across Aurelian's skin in shifting colors. Sarixa raised one hand and silence followed. "We will hear all perspectives," she said. Her eyes turned to Elias, "including the humans." All attention moved to him. Elias stepped forward slightly, careful not to cross the invisible line of comfort. "The Keth are watching how you respond," he said. "Not just your fleets, but your unity." "And what do you suggest?" a counselor asked sharply. "More patience, more distance." "I suggest clarity," Elias replied. "Confusion invites aggression." "Then speak clearly," the counselor said. "Tell us what you are truly doing here. Tell us why you hold back." The chamber stilled. Princess Sarixa felt it too. This was the moment she had been pushing toward, whether she realized it or not. "Human Elias," she said slowly, "the council demands honesty, no more partial truths." Elias took a breath. He had known this moment would come. He had delayed it as long as possible, but delay was no longer protecting anyone. "I will speak," he said, "but understand this: once spoken, the truth cannot be unheard." The council exchanged glances. Sarixa nodded. "We accept this." Elias straightened. "Humans come from a dangerous world," he began. "Not because it is unique, but because it is honest. Our planet never promised safety. We survived by learning restraint." Several counselors glowed with interest now. "Our history is filled with conflict," Elias continued. "Not because we enjoy it, but because we are deeply emotional beings. We love strongly. We grieve deeply. We protect fiercely." He paused, letting the words settle. When humans form bonds, he said, those bonds do not fade easily. They become part of who we are. Princess Serixa listened closely, her glow soft but intent. In your culture, Elias went on, closeness builds trust. For us, closeness creates responsibility. A counselor leaned forward. That sounds like a virtue. It is, Elias agreed. And a danger, murmurs rose again. When someone humans care for is threatened, Elias said calmly, reason becomes secondary. Restraint becomes a choice, not an instinct. He lifted his gaze, meeting Serix's eyes briefly. That is why I keep distance, he said. Not because I reject you, but because I respect you. Silence followed, thick and uneasy. You imply that if you bonded with us, a counselor said slowly, you would lose control. No, Elias replied. I imply that we would choose control until forced otherwise. Serixa felt a chill run through her, though the chamber was warm. What happens when humans are forced? She asked. Elias did not answer immediately. When humans decide someone is under their protection, he said finally, they do not stop at balance. They do not stop at equal response. His voice remained even. That made the words more frightening. They stop only when the threat is gone. The council chamber erupted in light and noise. That is a threat. That is arrogance. That is madness. Serixa raised her hand again, but it took longer for silence to return. You speak as if your species is unstoppable, a senior counselor said. Elias shook his head. No. We are very stoppable. That is why we are careful about who we stand beside. Princess Serixa looked at him differently now. Not as a mystery, but as a warning carefully wrapped in courtesy. Before anyone could speak again, alarms sounded. Not the controlled alerts of before. These were sharp, urgent. A strategist turned from his console. Keth vessels are advancing. They have deployed interdiction fields. The room flashed with alarmed colors. They are cutting off retreat, another said. Princess Serixa turned to Elias. Is this what you feared? Yes, Elias replied. They believe you are uncertain. And you, she asked, what do you believe? I believe they will push until they meet resistance, Elias said. Then we must respond, a counselor declared. Prepare defenses. Princess Serixa hesitated, then looked to Elias again. If we ask for Earth support, what will happen? Elias held her gaze. If you ask, he said, humanity will answer. That is all, she pressed. No, Elias said quietly. That is everything. The council debated fiercely. Some demanded immediate alliance activation. Others feared escalation. Elias did not interrupt. He had said what needed to be said. At last, Princess Serixa spoke. We will not strike first, she said, but we will not stand alone. She turned to Elias. Send your message. Elias nodded. He left the chamber and entered a secure communication room. The connection to Earth was clear, waiting. He did not speak in panic. He did not exaggerate. This is Elias' ward, he said. Aurelian territory is under pressure from the Keth Dominion. Diplomatic solutions are failing. The Aurelians have requested support. There was a pause. Then a familiar voice replied. Understood. No questions, no debate. The channel closed. Elias exhaled slowly. Outside the ship, space shifted. Human fleets did not arrive in a dramatic burst. They arrived with precision. Vessels appeared at calculated points, forming defensive lines that reshaped the battlefield in moments. Keth commanders hesitated. This was not the response they expected. Human ships did not rush forward. They held position, weapons powered but silent, a message broadcast across open channels. This is the human coalition, it said. You have entered protected space. Withdraw. The Keth responded with threats, demands, displays of force. Human ships adjusted slightly, not aggressive, not fearful, unyielding. Princess Serixa watched from the command deck, heart racing. She turned to Elias, who stood quietly beside the officers. They listen to you, she said. They listen to responsibility, Elias replied. The Keth fired first. It was brief. Human defenses activated instantly, neutralizing the attack with controlled precision. No excessive force, no chaos. When Keth vessels attempted to maneuver, they found every path predicted, every escape blocked. Within minutes, the Keth commander signaled retreat. The battle ended as quickly as it began. Silence returned to space. Aurelian officers stared in stunned disbelief. They could have destroyed them, one whispered. Yes, Elias said, but they didn't need to. Princess Serixa looked at him, understanding finally settling in her mind. You kept distance, she said softly, because closeness would have bound you to us. Yes, Elias replied. And once bound, she continued, there would be no half measures. Elias nodded. She stepped back, giving him space without effort now. Then I am glad you spoke the truth, she said, even if it frightened us. He allowed himself a small, tired smile. Fear can be useful, it teaches respect. Outside, the stars remained calm, but the galaxy had changed. And everyone felt it. The aftermath of the confrontation settled slowly, like dust after a storm. The Aurelian royal vessel drifted calmly once more, its systems stable, its people alive and unharmed. Yet nothing felt the same. Everyone aboard knew they had witnessed something rare, not destruction, restraint. Princess Serixa stood before the wide observation window, watching the distant human ships maintain their formation. They did not press closer. They did not celebrate. They simply remained, silent and steady, like guardians who had already decided their duty was complete. Elia's ward stood a short distance behind her, hands clasped behind his back. He waited as he always did. The council is unsettled, Serixa said without turning. Some are relieved, some are afraid. That reaction is reasonable, Elias replied. They fear that we now owe humanity a great debt, she continued, and that debt may shape our future. Elias considered his words carefully. Humanity does not collect debts, he said. We collect responsibilities. She turned to face him, studying his expression. Is there a difference? To us, he said, there is everything. Later that cycle, the full Aurelian Council gathered again. The chamber glowed softly, not with tension this time, but with reflection. Elias stood before them one last time, not as a suspect, but as a witness. The Keth have withdrawn beyond our borders, a strategist announced. They have issued no further challenges. And the human fleet, another asked. They remain nearby at respectful distance, the strategist replied. All eyes turned to Elias. You have proven your words, a senior counselor said. Your people could have crushed the Keth, they chose not to. Elias nodded. Power used without control is fear. Power restrained builds trust. A ripple of agreement passed through the chamber. Princess Serixa stepped forward. The council has reached a decision. Elias remained still. We recognize that your distance was not rejection, she said. It was discipline. Several counselors inclined their heads, a sign of acknowledgement rarely given to outsiders. You are welcome among us, another said, not as a curiosity but as a partner. Elias placed a hand over his chest and bowed. Thank you. But there is one condition, Serixa added. Elias looked up. We will respect your boundaries, she said, but we will no longer mistake them for weakness. A small smile touched Elias' face. That is all I ever hoped for. The council session ended not with celebration but with quiet resolve. Treaties would follow, trade routes would open, but something deeper had already formed. Understanding. In the days that followed, changes spread through the ship. Aurelians no longer crowded Elias in conversation. They asked questions instead of making assumptions. When he requested space, it was given without offense. And Elias, in return, stayed longer during meetings. He shared more of humanity's history, carefully chosen, honestly spoken. He spoke of art, of science, of mistakes made and lessons learned. Princess Serixa listened more than anyone. They walked together often, through gardens grown under artificial suns, or along wide halls where stars shimmered beyond clear walls, always with space between them, always with respect. You were right, she said one cycle as they paused near a quiet chamber. Closeness without understanding can be dangerous, and distance without trust can be cruel, Elias replied. She nodded. We have much to learn from each other. News of the encounter spread beyond Aurelian space. Other civilizations took notice. Reports circulated, carefully edited but impossible to ignore. Humans had arrived, not as conquerors, not as beggars, but as something far more unsettling. Equals. In distant systems, strategists recalculated. Some dismissed the event as chance. Others studied it closely and adjusted their plans. A single phrase appeared again and again in classified briefings. Humans respond with restraint until they don't. On Earth, Elias' report was received in silence. Leaders read between the lines. Analysts noted what was not said as much as what was. The alliance had held. More importantly, it had been tested. Weeks later, the human fleet withdrew, leaving only a small diplomatic presence behind. Elias remained aboard the royal vessel, his mission extended by mutual agreement. On his last evening before the fleet's departure, Princess Serixa met him one final time at the observation deck. "They will speak of you for generations," she said. "They will speak of us," Elias corrected. "Of what happens when we choose understanding over fear." She looked at the stars. "I once thought your avoidance was insult. And now?" he asked. "Now I see it as care," she said, "the kind that knows its own strength." She turned to him fully, her glow calm and steady. "Tell me something," Elias warned. "If the Keth return, if another threat rises, will humanity stand with us again?" Elias did not answer quickly. "Humans do not give blind promises," he said. "But once we stand with someone, we do not walk away." She inclined her head deeply. "Then I am glad we earned that place." They stood in silence, watching the stars shift as the ship moved gently forward. Far across the galaxy, the ripples of that choice continued to spread. Borders adjusted, old assumptions cracked, new conversations began. Humanity had not conquered a world. They had done something far more powerful. They had shown that strength did not need to shout, that restraint could be louder than fear. And that when humans spoke the truth, not in anger, not in pride, but in calm honesty, the galaxy listened. Because everyone now understood one simple thing. Humans did not avoid connection because they felt nothing. They avoided it because once they chose someone, they would protect them without limit.